All right, starting recording. This is a Halo lore, where it's
Oh
just two
shit.
guardians chilling in Destiny 2 in a freight
And
ship.
I was gonna say the most scariest fucking place we could find.
Yeah, well, scenery is something. I'm your host. Well, actually, you'll be the host because you're the one who's knows the lore.
I'm the host? Oh fuck, I
Yeah.
don't wanna be a host.
All right, well, fuck. I'm your host. Fucking a hot tater, and we got here Chaboyki. Give us the juicy lore of Halo on our on your burning.
Fancy ears.
Yeah.
All your
Anyway.
burning desires, they'll be here, they'll be answered.
Oh,
You
dude.
might
Hey,
it's
hey,
like
look at that. It makes sense. Flaming
yeah dude.
table. Burning
Burning
desires.
table, burning coffee,
Dude,
my eyes are burning.
dude, it's alright. Hey, important thing is you and I are locking eyes. Deep,
Indeed.
deeply. Looking
I
inside
don't
each other's soul.
just staring at each just disintegrate.
Yeah, man. Oh, you
It's like
think
the
our
yin and yang.
guardians are just having the most intense staring contest?
Yeah dude. I wonder so Guardians come back from dead or like they came back from the dead originally. Does that mean like they don't function the same as like regular living person would?
What do
So
you
like
mean?
we don't need to blink.
Why wouldn't we need to not blink?
I don't know. We were born from like scraps because we were definitely dead when our
Well,
ghosts
okay,
found us.
then at that point, it all depends. How old are we talking about? Because I thought that the ghost will revive fresh corpse, not mummified.
No, they
Uh,
can revive mummified beings because
what?
and there's a lore tab in this. I
Oh
forgot. It was for
my
like
fucking god.
I think it was for the speaker, or it was for like speakers in general, like specific. They weren't called guardians, but specific light bearers that had visions from the traveler, and then that's why they were called speakers because they could technically quote unquote speak to them through visions.
Yeah.
And one of them, the speaker was like all the ghosts followed a speaker because they were like, "Yo, he has that connection to the big old giant marble in the sky. It's like if we follow this fuck, we could find our guardian, or we could find our light bearer back in the day because they weren't called guardians until the tower became a thing."
Right.
So these ghosts would just follow the speaker, and the speaker would do his best or her best to like keep them safe and find their guardian. And then at one point, a speaker saw a ghost find his guardian, and then the speaker was like, "But there's nothing here. It's just a pile of bones." And the ghost revived that person with just from their bones. Like they were just scattered pieces of bones, and they brought him back. And the speaker saw how the ghost like metamorphosized the ground around them and brought wrappings from like dirt and made muscle appear again on bone, and organs were coming back in the body, and then the person was revived like that.
What in the hell, dude?
So like it is they don't
So how
explain how
much?
well a ghost can bring someone back because clearly ghosts have limitations too. Because in D1 there was a lore tab for an exo who like he wanted to unlock his memories that were locked behind some whatever the thing because he's an exo,
Yeah.
and his ghost was like, listen, I don't want to tamper with your things inside you because I don't know how you work. I can revive you, but I don't know how you work on
That
the
doesn't
inside, like
that doesn't
technically.
make sense because you bringing back a piece of complex machinery.
That's the thing, like I don't understand how that works either. But like a ghost was like, listen, I'm not fiddling with the things inside you. Like you could lose an arm, I'm gonna bring that back. But like I won't bring it back the same, and you might not function the same. But I don't want to touch your brain because I don't know how this shit works. And the EXO was like, no, please. It's like just jab my brain. I want to see the memories that I have in there. And this ghost was like, please, I don't want to do that. And the EXO was like, do it. You brought me back. I want to see them. And the ghost tampers into his brain, unlocks these various memories, and then the last memory the EXO sees is like him on this frozen planet fighting these like metallic bronze robots, which are the Vex. And then the last thing he sees is a giant ship up in the sky crashing into the snow and like destroying everything in sight. And then the Exo's like, "Okay, Ghost, wake me up." And he doesn't hear anything. He's like, "Ghost, wake me up." And at that point, his ghost couldn't really bring him back because he tampered with his mind too much to the point where he couldn't technically fix him or revive him.
Huh.
But again, that was
So the
D1.
vision was literally just Europa, the memories of Europa then.
Indeed, because Europa was technically supposed to be a D1 destination originally.
But what happened?
Mismanagement of budget,
Uh,
uh, the scrapping of various storylines along with,
classic.
yeah,
Classic CEOs putting their foot where they don't belong.
indeed.
Hmm.
And I feel like at this point, we still don't really know the real happenings of what happened to Destiny. I feel like we're only hearing a side of it. I feel like Bungie wants to like really get away from that.
Hmm.
And I mean, I guess they succeeded. No one's really talking about D1 anymore.
I mean,
Its
I think
failings.
I think at the point that people are just moving on to a different game,
I guess so. But it's fascinating how Anthem
Oh my
suffered
God.
the
Well,
same fate,
but
but
here's the
like
thing though.
it died.
Anthem was it was its own thing. There's no Anthem 2. They wanted to make Anthem quote unquote 2.0, which is it was just Anthem 1 but without the issues.
Right.
Um, but this this is different because this is like okay, Destiny had its issues, but it was still usable. It was still playable. And then
It was, yeah.
Destiny 2 dropped, and then it was like, okay, well, we're done with that old toy. Let's move on to the future because, I mean, they're only going to put the budget and the development into this new one. Why should we why should we stay lingering in the past since clearly nobody's going to be they're not updating it and they're not adding anything and they're not nobody's playing it.
That's true, yeah. I
So
actually don't know how many people are playing Destiny 1. I'm sure there's still a few
I mean,
different
I'm
people playing it.
sure. I mean, PC community for sure, but I don't
Well,
know.
actually, no, Destiny 1 was not on PC.
It wasn't.
No, it was a console only game.
Well,
It
then
was
that makes even more sense. You know how console users are like, yeah, we play whatever's current, and then once a series has like a successor, then that game that they played for like hundreds of thousands of hours, it's like no longer like relevant. Like nobody plays it. Meanwhile, you get like PC communities, people are still playing like Call of Duty 1 or whatever, fucking multiplayer, and it still has like a big like servers or whatever. It's just an example. It probably doesn't,
yeah,
but
it seems like PC the games linger longer because the people can play them
yeah,
continuously whenever they want.
yeah. And I feel
Or
like it's also the fact that there's like a lot of people, like it has a big community, and it's I don't know. It also I think it also has to do with the nature of the console, because like PC. I mean, shit, dude. I'm running a very updated system. I'm essentially running junk, you know.
yeah, and
But I'm
you
running
still able to
junk.
run.
I'm essentially running the equivalent of an Xbox 360, just so you know. Like,
Right.
I'm running hardware that was current for an Xbox 360. Like, technology-wise, that's like top tier from back in the day. And I'm still running, like, to this day,
Like current games.
current games. Versus consoles is like, okay, you get Xbox 360. Okay, cool. Let's say Destiny drops day one, right, of Xbox 360. Just an
Yeah.
example. And then D2 drops next console. Guess what? People are
Well, you're
not
gonna have
gonna
to upgrade.
people are gonna upgrade, and once the next console comes in, nobody's gonna play Destiny 1. Hell, it does. They don't even have to have Destiny 2. If they don't make a new game for the next console, nobody's gonna play Destiny 1 because they gotta move on because of the console.
Yeah, I guess
Because
consoles people there's less like you're more restricted of like you either upgrade or you don't.
yeah, and
There's no
it's
like in between.
and that's why it's like okay, so I don't know. It's that's why it's like it has the same issue as like like video media nowadays, like YouTube, where it's like okay, things need to be fast, things need to be snappy, and they need to be like constantly putting like content out every single day. Otherwise, they become irrelevant. You know,
Yeah,
the console is the same thing. Where it's like, yeah, they got the consoles, but if you're not putting something for the console and something new comes out, then it becomes irrelevant. Or at least that's how I feel anyway. Because it's like it's the only way why anybody would, even if they have sequel, uh, even in the same generation of consoles, they stop playing the previous one like immediately. Like there's like yeah, like Call of Duty for example. It's like
oh shit, dude, it's a new
where
one every fucking year.
yeah, but it's like the moment the new one comes out, everybody stop playing the old one or the previous
Yeah,
one. You know, even if it's in the same console, it's like so now you have to buy the new one.
even if it's
Other,
still like if it's
otherwise,
still well
yeah,
received, people kind of like bounce off of it. I mean, you'll still find people playing it, but like you won't find
yeah, but you'll find like
millions of
five,
players.
like maybe five people, and then you'll be playing with those same five people over and
Yeah,
over and over and over again. You know,
or
I
we
mean,
could have like a Halo 2 situation where like they shut down the servers. Like I think what was it, 2013?
hmm,
I think they shut down the Halo 2 servers for matchmaking, and like there were still people playing up until the point where they were shut down. And I think it came to the point where like people passed the expiration date. It was like, all right, this is the day when the servers are gonna shut down. Like once they're shut down, if you leave the game, if you disconnect for whatever reason, you won't be able to connect again. And some dude just left his Xbox running and just played every match until the point where he was just the only one. Where like he couldn't even load into a game because it was just him on the server. And then
dang,
he was the last player to stop playing. That he couldn't literally play Halo 2 anymore because there was no one else to play.
man, that's kind of poetic. I don't know.
Yeah, it was a moment. It was a moment that everybody were like really cherished. They were like, "Yo, it's like this day, Halo 2 ends. Let's just play until we can."
Oh yeah, I heard
And
about
people did
that.
that.
It was like they were everybody were playing, and it came down to these two players. It was like this big deal because they were like playing like till forever,
Yeah, they just kept playing.
until one got disconnected or whatever, or he dropped.
Yeah, eventually did get disconnected, but they kept going even after the servers were shut down.
Yeah,
Like they had a specific date, and I think they played, I think 5 or 6 days after the fact.
yeah. I don't know if they got like if they streamed it or not, or they like recorded.
I actually don't know. I'm not sure if they did actually, because
I don't
I
think by
think this was
then that
way
was
before
yeah, yeah,
Twitch. If anything, I think Twitch was just starting to become a thing, but it wasn't like
Damn, Twitch is that
everyone
old?
doing it. I don't know, honestly. I don't remember when Twitch started. Isn't it crazy that these things come and go? Like these platforms appear, and we don't really know when they started. They just appeared.
Dude, I didn't know when the fuck. I just realized I can turn off the HUD, so I can actually. It's literally just us. There's no like UI in my screen. It's
Oh,
great.
you can turn off the.
Yeah, yeah, dude. It's fucking great.
Funny enough,
But yeah,
this
dude, I
game has
didn't
a very
know.
simple UI.
Wait, what?
I'm just saying this game has a very simple UI.
Yeah.
Just one thing in the corner.
Well, I don't even know when YouTube started. Like I heard. Actually, I didn't learn about YouTube until freaking 2008 when I went to college.
2008. I think YouTube started in
Dylan, you
2004.
left.
Ah, shit. You still there?
Yeah, I'm here. I've been
I got
moving the camera around. Want to
I
give different perspectives, but also so that it doesn't kick me out.
guess the game Fire Team joining disabled.
What?
I can't even join you.
Why?
I don't know. It just says disabled.
Oh, hold on, hold on. Let me stop this.
It's like I ain't disabled.
All right,
I have
I'm
feet.
gonna stop part one.
Part one.
All
Bungie's
right.
more like we ain't having that shit. Get out.
All right. This is part two of the first one. Uh, Big old tangent for the story of Halo. Uh, yeah, what were we talking about
Uh,
before you got kicked out?
was it? I don't remember.
Hmm.
Something Destiny related.
Yeah, probably. Anyway, the real topic as to why we're here.
Oh yeah, what was? Should we introduce the question that we had for Halo? Because this
uh,
is the Halo 4 question, right?
no, this is the Sergeant Johnson question. Oh, actually, yes, it is. It is. It is. It is the Halo 4 question.
Yeah, it's that weird cutscene where we meet the librarian. I think's her name.
Is it? I thought the librarian was the little robot.
No, I think he's 343 Guilty Spark. He's like an AI for the
That is so
Halo ring that we
confusing, dude. The fact
found
that
in
they
Halo
named
1.
it after their company.
I mean, granted, I think 343 Guilty Spark was named first, and then they named the company after.
That doesn't make sense. You can't start something without being a company first.
Oh, they were called Bungie first,
Uh,
and then
so wait, so
343.
343 was born out of Bungie?
Yeah, essentially, like some employees that wanted to continue with Halo, uh, left Bungie and they made 343 Studios. But
Hmm,
343 is based off of the name of 343 Guilty Spark, little robot in Halo 1.
interesting. I thought it was a
Yeah.
completely different like company.
No, there's some of the veterans from or some of the people that worked on Reach moved over to 343 to continue with Halo because they just wanted to continue doing the Halo stuff, continue the story.
Hmm. Dude, I hate that the flames do not reflect off of me. Cause you have such a cool light.
Oh yeah, they do reflect on.
Anyway, continue. So why is it that Master Chef, also known as John Wayne, the Pebble Johnson,
John Wayne.
uh,
John Wayne, the space
uh,
cowboy.
117, big hulking green giant,
Monster of a man. Don't,
uh,
don't confuse him with the Hulk. That's a
Doom
different giant
guy,
green man.
uh,
Oh shit, the Doom guy. Didn't even think about that.
yeah, like how, why didn't he, what happened to him? And why is it that he wasn't able to get disintegrated with an antimatter looking thing?
Like, while every other human around him
Yeah.
was disintegrated before his fucking eyes and turned to a little pile of dust.
Also,
So,
tangent. Uh,
yeah,
why is it that it only disintegrated life forms and not the materials that are around them, considering the life forms have basic like materials like iron and maybe a little bit of
yeah.
copper and all that.
So I think I don't know if the game ever explains it, but I think the composer is only used to turn organic material into AI. Essentially, it's essentially like
All right. So what's the composer?
the composer. That's what it does specifically. It's just a machine used to turn organic life forms into AI or
So
digital data.
is the composer the big ball?
No, that's the Didact's like sarcophagus. I think is what they call it. I don't know if they called it. They gave it that specifically,
Why does
but
it
like
have to
that's
be
where
so
he.
big?
I don't know. That was like his prison. I don't know if they ever explained why that was a prison in particular, or if that was just a ship
I was
that they
about to
used
say
for specific
that's
things.
a very fancy prison that lets you be anywhere you wanna be.
Yeah, because like we also didn't see like I think when we played Halo 4, we only saw like maybe two of the terminals. We missed a few in each mission, and they kind of explained why the
Oh yeah.
Didact was in that ball, why he wanted the composer, and why the Prometheans are technically considered ancient humans. Because like Forerunners, this is before the Flood, Forerunner War, but like Forerunners made this machine called the Composer, and they were doing it so that they could achieve immortality through turning organic material into digital data, so like AI stuff and whatnot. But they couldn't reverse the effects or whatever like advanced organic being was turned into digital data. They would come out corrupted and like broken and horribly disfigured, and they couldn't revert them back. So they would try to turn the digital data back into organic, and they would just come out in these deformed creatures that had no sign of like humanity in them anymore, or like a soul essentially.
Yeah.
And so when that happened, the Forerunners were like, "Yo, we can't use this stuff anymore. Like this is way too dangerous. We can't control it. This should never be used because it could be used as a weapon against us,
Wait,
or if
they
someone."
they 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 acknowledge that souls are a thing, or are you just using that as like an example?
I think I'm using an example. I'm not sure if they were considered souls, but like
Hmm.
it was just whatever they whatever they composed, just it never turned out right in both organic and digital, and vice versa. Like from going from organic to digital. So
Right.
like that's when they're like, all right, like we can't solve this with the composer. It's like let's put this thing away and never use it. You know, it's too dangerous. It's too much of a power that we shouldn't have. So then that was put away, and then the humans, the ancient humans in Halo, in the Halo universe, they're outrunning. They're trying to outrun the flood,
You're
hoping
rotating
that
your
they could.
camera, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Just making
So like
sure.
they're like, oh yeah, I'm rotating it constantly. I'm afraid to get booted. But like they're trying to outrun the ancient humans are trying to outrun the flood, and at the same time they're trying to stop the flood from contaminating more worlds because I think at this point humanity has lost most of their planets to the flood, and they're like, shit, dude, we can't stop this fucking infection. It's like we either burn the planets or we're gonna have to fucking do something else because like we can't stop it on like a ground level.
Right.
And they reach to the point where like they outrun the flood so much that they're now in Forerunner space, and like their territories and their worlds are there. And then the humans run into this Forerunner planet, and they're like, "Yo, did we outrun the flood? Can we warn these poor Forerunners that they're about to get fucked up by like a deforming or like a hungry parasite that turns into zombies?" And then they scan the planet. They were too late. The flood got there before them. Half the planet's already infested. And then the admiral of the human fleet's like, we can't. It's like we have no time to warn them. It's like whoever's left alive down there, we're gonna have to glass the whole planet. It's like it's the only way to stop it. And even one of the commanding officers in that ship for the humans was like, we can still try to warn them, like at least give the survivors a chance. And then the admiral was like, no, just burn the whole fucking planet. At the same time, the foreigners see this and they're like, yo, why are humans fucking up our planets? And then they get the idea of like, oh man, it's like have humans gotten too cocky and they want our worlds now? Like, are they doing what we did to the species before us? And that's when the Forerunners begin fighting humans, and then the humans fight back, and in the end, the humans lose because they don't really have that much of an army, but they do fight for a long time and they do lose. Remember the Didact, who has a hatred for humanity at this point because like they've killed so many of their worlds, but not knowing that they were already killed by flood. The Didac hates humans, and his punishment is to just exterminate them all. Like they don't deserve a second chance. But the Librarian steps in, and the Forerunner Council steps in, and they're like, "No, we're not executioners of an entire species. They're still gonna get punished because they did something fucked up. Instead, we're gonna de-evolve them. So like we're gonna essentially just turn them into primates, into cavemen. So then humans become different primates, different cavemen, and then the librarian picks up the few that are remaining. She puts them on halo rings to study them, or to preserve them and keep them safe. And then the Didact's like, fine, I still don't like it. I still want to kill them all, but fine. It's like you guys are in charge.
Hmm.
And then the Flood show up, and at this point, the Forerunners are already kind of war torn and tired from the fighting with humans. That the Flood just kind of swoop in and just like kind of wipe them out pretty easily without the Forerunners ever putting
So
a big
essentially,
fight.
like a tasty third party in Apex, right?
Yeah, dude. Yeah, pretty much. They get severely third partied, and then at this point, the Didact's like, I get it now. I understand why humans were fucking up our worlds. I still fucking hate them, but I get it now. And then the Didact gets this idea to use the composer on himself so that he can turn himself into more of a digital being because the flood can't really infect or consume digital or like mechanical beings. They can still kind of control them, but the mechanical being still has like its own will over them. And then the Didact fails. That's why he looks all weird and like disgusting in Halo 4,
Mm.
because that's the after effects of him trying to compose himself. So it doesn't work. His Promethean soldiers are like, yo, you can't compose yourself, but compose us. Turn us into mechanical warriors. We'll fight for you. And then the Didact's like, are you sure? It's like, that's kind of fucked up. It's like, I don't know if I want to do that to all of you guys. And then his Prometheans are like, no, we're all with you. It's like, compose us. It's like, we're ready. And thus he turns them into the Prometheans that we fight in Halo 4. But he doesn't really have a big army. And a lot of them, a lot of the Prometheans that fight are killed anyway because there's just so much flood. They can't really overbeat them in numbers. So then the Didact's like, you know what? There's still a few humans left about. I'm going to compose them. That's going to be their final punishment for bringing this enemy towards us. And so he goes to the Halo rings behind the Forerunner Council and all them because he didn't get their approval. And he composes a shit ton of humans into Promethean soldiers. And that's when the Librarian and the remaining Forerunner Council, they're like, your husband's fucking humans up for like no apparent reason, and turning him into his own personal army. And then the Librarian steps in. She like betrays the Didact, her husband, puts him in that giant ball, turns her Prometheans against him, at least the remaining ones, and then she seals them in that metal planet that we find ourselves in 4.
Mm.
And then at that point, I believe the Halo rings are already being constructed, like they're making 7 more, and then the remaining ones are fired, and the Librarian and everybody else are killed by the firing of the rings.
Well, dang.
But then the thing in 4, so in the cutscene we saw in Halo 4 was the Librarian was just explaining what the composer was used for and what the Didact used it against humans and his whole hatred towards them. And I don't remember what she specifically did to Master Chief, but she hints at it that the whole reason why humans made it this far again in the Halo timeline again, so like why they're more advanced all over again is because that's like her master plan. Like she still fiddled with like their genetic code so that even though they were turned into cave people during their time, they were still going to evolve into the smart race that they used to be again. And so she even explains that Master Chief becoming Master Chief and who he is was by her design. Same thing with like Cortana. The creation of Cortana was also by her design. And that at the very end, she would eventually meet Master Chief and unlock the genetic codes that she hid in his own DNA so that he could overcome, or not overcome anything, but like essentially become like the warriors of the universe, essentially to be the protectors of the universe, which is what the Forerunners used to be, but like they became corrupted in their own ways. And the
So,
composer was like an example of that.
so I have a question then, because
Yeah,
just she was essentially data at that point, but she was able to
yeah,
tap into it, like if it were a
yeah.
freaking literal piece of.
Ah,
There you go, Dylan. There you go again.
I'm moving the camera though.
I don't know.
Well, goddamn.
Your ship is still here.
Is it really?
Yeah.
That's weird. So even if I'm moving the camera, it still boots me.
Oh, it put me. What the
Oh,
hell?
did it? So I guess we have to move ourselves.
That
Uh,
doesn't make sense.
we can't just emote. That's squash. Well, we have a part two.
Yeah.
And we actually technically answered the question before I got the yoinka.
This is true. I guess I'll end that part and then we'll